What do you do when the love of your life is suddenly gone? That one moment changes everything. Your world shifts. The silence becomes deafening, and even simple decisions feel impossible. Losing a spouse isn't just about grief. It's about waking up in a life you no longer recognize. It's standing in a kitchen where their laughter used to echo, and wondering how to go on. In the aftermath, people rush to fill the silence with advice, pressure, even well-meant plans. But in those fragile days, the worst decisions are often made not from clarity, but from pain. In this story, we'll walk through 6 emotional and practical mistakes many make after losing a partner, and how avoiding them can protect your heart, your health, and your future. Because continuing to live doesn't mean forgetting, it means finding new ways to carry love forward. If you've ever felt this kind of loss, comment 1 below so we know you're here, and you're not alone. But grief doesn't just change how we feel. It clouds how we think. In the early days after losing a spouse, the world becomes a blur. Paperwork piles up, phone calls come in, bills still need to be paid. And while your heart is still reeling, people start asking questions. Are you going to sell the house? Move somewhere smaller? What about the life insurance? Investments? Your mind is spinning, your emotions raw, and suddenly you're expected to make life-altering decisions when you can barely breathe. It's no wonder that many fall into the trap of acting quickly. There's an illusion of control in doing something, anything. You tell yourself that making a big financial move will bring stability, a sense of order amid the chaos. But in reality, grief and clarity are not good partners. The choices made during this vulnerable time often come from urgency, not wisdom, and that can come at a high cost. One of the most common mistakes is making permanent changes far too early. Whether it's selling the home you shared for decades, investing in something unfamiliar, or dividing assets out of guilt or a desire to help others, these decisions are often emotionally driven rather than carefully considered. Financial predators know this too, targeting the newly widowed with golden opportunities, high-pressure tactics, or even posing as sympathetic helpers. Even well-meaning loved ones can unintentionally push you into decisions you're not ready for. Their advice might sound practical. It's time to downsize. You should invest that money. Don't let it sit idle. But when your heart hasn't caught up with your reality, even the smartest-sounding suggestion can lead to deep regret. This is why so many experts suggest the 1-year rule. Give yourself time, at least a full year, before making any irreversible financial decisions. In that space, grief begins to settle, emotions become clearer, and you're better equipped to make choices that align with the life you want to build moving forward. Not the life you're still mourning. It's not about doing nothing. It's about slowing down. It's about giving yourself permission to not have it all figured out right now. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. There's no timeline for healing, but there is danger in rushing. And financial decisions once made are hard to undo. Pause. Seek advice from professionals who understand both finances and grief. Trust only those who respect your pace, not pressure it. Protect your future by moving with intention, not impulse, because your next chapter deserves to be built on solid ground, not scattered pieces rushed together in sorrow. If this message speaks to you or someone you love, comment 2 below. We're walking this road together, and your journey matters. Still, not every risk after loss comes with a dollar sign. Some of the most dangerous choices aren't written on paper. They're lived in silence. When someone you love dies, a part of you goes quiet. That silence can feel strangely safe, even comforting. You pull back, stop answering messages, Let invitations go unanswered. At first, people understand. They give you space. But then, slowly, that space becomes distance. And that distance becomes isolation. It's easy to believe you're protecting yourself by staying away from others. After all, they don't know what to say. Their lives keep moving while yours feels frozen. Sometimes their presence, even their kindness, feels like too much. So you retreat. You tell yourself you're not ready, that you'll reconnect when it hurts less. But the truth is, isolation doesn't just protect grief, it prolongs it. Loneliness deepens the longer it's fed. Days blur together. Routines fall apart. Even the body begins to respond. Loss of appetite, disrupted sleep, fatigue, heightened anxiety. Over time, what began as a necessary break from the world becomes a barrier to healing. Staying connected doesn't mean pretending to be okay. It means letting the right people into your life, even when you don't have the words. Connection comes in small moments. A phone call, a walk with a neighbor, sitting quietly next to someone who simply gets it. You don't have to perform your grief. You don't have to explain it. But you do need others beside you while you carry it. One of the most overlooked truths about grief is that it's not meant to be managed alone. We were made for connection, for being seen, heard, and held when the weight is too much. You don't need to jump into large gatherings or force cheerfulness. Just begin somewhere, anywhere. Let people show up imperfectly. And when they do, let them in. And if you find that the people closest to you can't quite meet you where you are, that's okay too. There are grief support groups, communities, both local and online, filled with people who have been where you are, who won't rush your healing or minimize your pain. Sometimes the most powerful connection comes from someone who simply nods and says, "Me too." None of this is easy. Reaching out when your heart is broken takes courage. But withdrawing completely is not a form of self-care. It's a form of self-protection that turns into self-neglect. And you deserve better than that. Your spouse may be gone, but you are still here. And your life still matters. The love you shared isn't honored by fading into the background. It's honored by continuing to live, feel, and connect. In your own time, at your own pace, but not in isolation. If this part of the story resonates with you, or if you're beginning to take small steps back into the world, comment 3 below. Your presence matters. And someone out there needs to know they're not the only one feeling this way. But while isolation can weigh heavily on the heart, there's another quiet danger that often goes unnoticed. The slow unraveling of your own well-being. Grief doesn't just live in the mind or memory, it settles into the body. In the weeks and months after a spouse passes, it's common to feel physically exhausted, mentally foggy, or emotionally numb. You skip meals not because you want to, but because food has lost its taste. Sleep becomes elusive. Routines slip away. The simplest self-care tasks, like drinking enough water or getting dressed, start to feel monumental. There's an unspoken belief many carry, that taking care of yourself after such a loss feels selfish. As if your pain should be worn visibly. As if prioritizing your health somehow disrespects the depth of your love. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Caring for yourself is not an act of moving on. It's an act of survival. The physical effects of grief are real. Studies have shown that losing a spouse significantly increases the risk of heart problems, immune system suppression, and even cognitive decline. Stress hormones surge, sleep patterns collapse, and appetite changes, sometimes drastically. In that fragile window of loss, the body becomes vulnerable in ways we don't always recognize until it's too late. This is why tending to your health isn't optional. It's essential. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Start with small steps. A morning walk, a balanced breakfast, a reminder to drink more water. Make that long-delayed doctor's appointment. Refill your prescriptions. Put reminders on your calendar if you have to. Because your body, like your heart, is doing hard work to heal. And it needs your help to get through this. Equally important is your emotional and mental well-being. Grief is a heavy weight to carry alone. If you're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, deeply sad, or just stuck, consider talking to a counselor or therapist who specializes in grief. Sometimes just saying the words out loud, "I'm not okay," can begin to lift the fog. There are support groups, phone lines, and professionals who understand this exact kind of pain. You're not a burden, but in that raw and vulnerable state, many people make a heartbreaking mistake. They step into a new relationship before they've truly healed. Let's be clear. Wanting love again is not wrong. In fact, it's deeply human. But when grief still sits at the center of your chest, that longing for connection can sometimes mask itself as readiness. And love, when entered too soon, can blur into escape. You're not looking for a partner. You're looking for refuge. For a hand to hold, because yours feels empty. For someone to help carry the weight you're not ready to face alone. The problem is, pain doesn't stay hidden. If you enter a relationship while still drowning in grief, it will show up, in ways both subtle and loud. You might compare your new partner to the one you lost. You might feel guilt just for enjoying someone's company. You may question your own heart, wondering if you're betraying the past. These inner battles can fracture even the most promising connection. And sometimes, the people you meet during this fragile period aren't always there for the right reasons. Grief can make you more trusting, more hopeful, more eager to believe in someone who says the right things. Sadly, this leaves many widows and widowers open to manipulation, financially, emotionally, or both. Anyone who pushes for quick commitment, secrecy, or control should raise immediate red flags. That doesn't mean you should close your heart forever. On the contrary, many people do find meaningful, lasting love again. But the healthiest relationships begin from a place of stability, not desperation. The goal isn't to replace the person you lost, it's to rediscover who you are now, before inviting someone new into your life. So take your time. Sit with your grief. Learn how to be alone without feeling abandoned. Reflect on what you truly want in a companion, not just what you miss. And when love does come again, let it be a choice made with peace, not panic. With intention, not impulse. You deserve a relationship that honors who you were, who you are, and who you're becoming. Not one built on trying to outrun grief, but one that's strong enough to walk beside it. If you've struggled with this part of the journey, or found clarity in choosing to wait, comment 5 below. Your honesty might help someone else pause long enough to make a decision rooted in healing, not heartbreak. Of course, not all attachments are to people. Some are to the objects they've left behind. After a spouse passes away, every item they touched becomes sacred. A sweater still carrying their scent. A toothbrush in the holder. A coffee mug resting where they last left it. These everyday things take on emotional weight far beyond their physical form. And so, many people find themselves preserving everything exactly as it was, as if keeping the environment intact might somehow preserve the presence of the one they lost. But while this instinct is deeply human, it can also become a trap. There is a difference between honoring the past and living in it. When your home becomes a shrine, grief doesn't have space to soften. It hardens. The walls begin to echo only what's missing, and each room reminds you more of absence than of life. Letting go doesn't mean erasing someone's memory. It means making room for your own heart to breathe again. That process doesn't have to be dramatic. You're not expected to pack up everything overnight, nor should you. In fact, rushing to declutter before you're ready can be just as damaging as never touching anything at all. The key is to move at a pace that honors your emotions without freezing you in time. Start small. Choose a few deeply meaningful items: a handwritten note, a piece of jewelry, a favorite photograph, and give them a place of honor. These can become touchstones, reminders of love that traveled with you through the years. Then, as you feel ready, begin sorting through other things. Ask yourself, does this item bring me comfort? Or does it hold me back? And if parting with things feels too final, consider repurposing instead. A favorite shirt can be turned into a memory quilt. A box of letters can become a keepsake book for your children or grandchildren. Giving these objects a new life doesn't diminish their value. It transforms their meaning into something living and lasting. There will be people who tell you to move on, to clear out, to start fresh. But this is not their journey. It's yours. If you're not ready, don't let guilt force your hand. On the other hand, if holding on to everything is keeping you stuck in sorrow, it may be time to gently loosen your grip. Not on the person, but on the pain. Because grief is not in the objects. It's in the love. And love doesn't disappear when you part with a pair of shoes or donate a coat. That love is already inside you, woven into your memories, your choices, your heartbeat. If this part of the journey resonates with where you are, or where you hope to go, comment 6 below. Someone out there needs to know they're not wrong for holding on, or for learning, slowly, to let go. And sometimes, what we hold on to isn't a physical thing. It's the need to do something, to take action, to regain a sense of control when everything feels uncertain. After losing a spouse, life feels like it's been split in two, before and after. In that disorienting in-between, it's natural to want to reclaim order. You might feel the urge to make sweeping changes, relocate to another state, change your daily routine, adopt new habits, even cut ties with certain people. These aren't necessarily bad ideas, but when made from a place of emotional exhaustion, they can carry long-term consequences that only reveal themselves later. The human brain, when overwhelmed by grief, struggles with clarity. Decisions that seem empowering in the moment may actually be reactive. Moving across the country to start fresh might leave you isolated. Severing relationships with certain family members might deepen wounds rather than protect your peace. And saying yes to a completely different lifestyle, without truly considering its impact, can sometimes be a way of running from pain rather than healing it. This is why timing and perspective matter so much. The early stages of grief are not ideal for reconfiguring your entire life. What you need in those moments isn't transformation, it's stability, a place to ground yourself, people you trust, space to think. Clarity doesn't come from haste, it comes from stillness, reflection, and wise counsel. But often, people feel pressured. Maybe you're told, it's time to move on, or this is your chance to reinvent everything. And while reinvention can be beautiful when it's rooted in peace, it becomes risky when it's rooted in desperation. You don't owe anyone a grand gesture of change. You owe yourself the patience to decide what's truly right. That's where trusted guidance becomes invaluable. Having someone to think things through with, a financial advisor, a counselor, a spiritual mentor, or simply a level-headed friend, can bring perspective when your own feels shaky. Someone who asks the questions you haven't thought of yet. Someone who reminds you of what really matters. And most importantly, someone who doesn't rush you. There is power in pausing, in giving your life time to settle before rebuilding it. Not because you're stuck, but because you're choosing intention over impulse. The life you're stepping into deserves that kind of care, and so do you. The truth is, you don't need to redesign your world overnight to prove you're surviving. Sometimes survival looks like staying right where you are, until clarity returns and your choices become reflections of hope, not hurt. If you're learning to pause, to think deeply, or to seek wise counsel before big changes, comment 7 below. Your patience is not a delay, it's a form of strength, and it might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. But sometimes, the most overlooked decision after loss isn't what we do. It's what we refuse to feel. In the quiet aftermath of a spouse's passing, many people instinctively push their emotions aside. Maybe it's because they feel they have to stay strong for others. Maybe they've never been taught how to sit with grief. Or maybe the pain is so overwhelming that burying it feels like the only way to survive. So they distract themselves, keep busy, smile when people ask how they're doing. And little by little they begin to wear a mask that says, "I'm fine." But grief doesn't go away just because we ignore it. It waits. It lingers beneath the surface, quietly affecting our mood, our energy, our relationships, even our physical health. Suppressed emotion has a cost, and often that cost is paid in anxiety, irritability, fatigue, or unexplained sadness that surfaces months or even years later. Grieving is not weakness. It's a necessary part of healing. Just as a wound on the body needs air, time, and care, so does a wound in the heart. Avoiding pain might feel safer, but true healing requires that we face what hurts, not flee from it. This doesn't mean crying every day or reliving every memory. It means allowing space for sadness when it comes. It means not judging yourself when you feel broken, angry, or lost. It means acknowledging your emotions without rushing them away. Some days you'll feel numb. Others, the wave will hit hard. That's normal. That's grief doing its work. And while the journey is deeply personal, it doesn't have to be walked alone. Speaking your pain, whether to a trusted friend, a therapist, or even in a journal, gives it shape. It gives it movement. Emotions that are expressed have somewhere to go. Emotions that are buried tend to resurface when we least expect them. Culturally, there's often pressure to move on or stay strong, especially for older adults. But strength isn't silence. Strength is honesty. It's having the courage to say, "This hurts," and allowing that truth to be part of your story. By letting yourself grieve, you're not clinging to the past. You're clearing the space needed for the future. You're honoring what was lost in a way that also honors what still remains. Your capacity to feel, to connect, and eventually to rebuild. No timeline, no rules, just permission. The kind only you can give yourself to feel what's real, one day at a time. If you're learning to stop bottling up the pain, or just beginning to give yourself permission to feel it, comment 8 below. Your honesty could open a door for someone else who's been holding it all in for far too long. Grief has no map, no calendar, no single path forward. And yet, through all the fog, there are choices, small, powerful choices that shape how we carry the loss and how we begin to live again. Saying no to rushed decisions, reaching out when it feels easier to retreat, taking care of your body, your mind, your heart, holding space for love without clinging to what can no longer stay. These aren't just actions, they are acts of courage. They are proof that even in your most broken moments, you are still choosing life. Because healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means learning how to walk through the world with their memory held close, not as a burden, but as a quiet strength. It means building a life that honors what was and still has room for what can be. If you take nothing else from this story, let it be this: make your choices from clarity, not grief. Let your next steps come from love, not fear, not pressure, not the noise of others, but from the still, strong voice within. If this story found its way into your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who may need it, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us keep telling stories that matter, stories that heal, connect, and remind us we are never truly alone. We'll see you in the next one. Until then, take gentle care of yourself. You're still here, and you still matter.
This audio is made with Audio Toolkit for